Peace, love, and divine light. I hope the sun is shining wherever you are and you are living in your greatest purpose. I have been inspired to bring a message. The message that I originally received, and it still may go that route, the message is about the chosen and what you have endured as someone who is chosen and what you're still enduring, and the fact that you are choosing to continue to fight. The divine wants you to know first and foremost that you are commended, because you have been aware for quite some time that you are in a fight. You are battling a lot of times for your life, for the life of others. And this is part of your mission. This is part of your divine purpose. Your spirit guides, your spiritual team wants you to know, and you know, your spirit guides want you to know that the plans that various individuals had for your life and what you have endured, it's not a small thing. And whether or not others acknowledge it, sometimes you'll see that the people who are not on that same wavelength may not understand the fight or the battle that you have been enduring till this day. For many of you, there are entities out there, forces, that wanted you sick, okay? They wanted you sick, broken, and nearly unalived. They wanted you sick, broken, and nearly unalive. And today I'm going to speak on the aspect of sickness. And the sickness that I receive in regards to this message is mentally sick, physically sick, as well as spiritually sick. Let's take the mental. And this aspect of this message, actually, I was inspired to, bring this on because I was watching something having to do with the life of Michael Jackson. And, Spirit just spoke to me about, this man's life, this man who was chosen for a specific purpose, and what he must have endured to go from who he was from birth to who he became, right until the time of his transition. And I began meditating on the battle and the things and energies that this being must have endured for him to completely transform into who he became right before he transitioned. And you see, this is what inspired this message, because you as a chosen, just know that those entities out there wanted you in a position where you completely transformed to the point where you didn't know who you were. For many of you, just know that the plan was for you to be mentally sick in a state of disequilibrium, where you are completely disconnected from who you were born to be, who you were born to become, the chosen seed that you were born to be. You were supposed to be completely disconnected from that. And, they set various scenarios for this to happen. For many of you, this disconnection, they wanted you to be disconnected from your truth. They wanted you to be disconnected from your path of truly who you were and who you were born to be. And so this disconnection that these entities set up for you to experience, this disconnection that you were supposed to have experienced was supposed to have left you sick. Because you see, what people call mental illness, okay, for many of you that may not know this, I have familiarity in the field of psychology, and I'm very familiar with the organizations that have been set up to to determine someone's mental state of being. And so for you, the disequilibrium that was literally implanted in your path was supposed to leave you in a state, and as they would call it, a diagnosis, where you were deemed unfit, you were deemed too sick and unfit to do X, Y, and Z. And that was supposed to deter you from your path and your purpose. Because whatever purpose you have, you as a chosen seed, that purpose is a major disruption to those who planted these seeds, for those who created scenarios for you to experience disequilibrium. And for many of you, you have experienced disequilibrium to some extent and are working to regain that balance. And unfortunately, I wish I could say the same for everyone else who weren't, okay? And I wouldn't say it's luck. I would say, it's a fight. Because there are some that didn't quite necessarily pass that test, or, they gave in to whatever it is that was created for them to experience the disequilibrium. They're experiencing it on a different level. And I believe that, we all experiencing disequilibrium to some extent. Yet there are some of us who are experiencing disequilibrium to the point where we don't even know who we are anymore. Okay? So this message is really for all of us, those who are on different levels of having to deal with the disequilibrium that was put on your path. And this message is deep, y'all, to the point where it's like it takes a lot of focus and meditation to really hone in on this experience, because to experience it is one thing, to speak on it is something else, because it requires that you pull from a depth that for the most part you are not expected to see, because a lot of the messages that have put you in a disequilibrium, the experiences, it's very much covert. It's very much not so much apparent to the naked eye. And so this brings me to the point of many of you who have been fighting, with this disequilibrium that almost left you sick. And I would say to some extent, we are all experiencing some level of sickness, having to deal with with entities that very much function in disequilibrium. For many of you, you were able to, and you are able to deal with that disequilibrium because of your connection to your spirit guides. Like many of you, you have some very powerful spirit guides, spiritual team that works with their, covert, submissive types of stuff, and are able to pull you from that level because you choose to stay connected. You choose to stay in meditation consistently. So for many of you who have gone through and are still going through dealing with that system that wanted you sick, broken, and nearly unalive, okay, just know that you haven't imagined things, okay? You see what you see and acknowledge what you see. Know that the things that you see are not, they're not figments of your imagination. Know that you see what you see and choose to stay connected, because that's what's going to continue to allow you to stay in a state of equilibrium. That's what's going to allow your mental state to stay afloat instead of, diving deep to a place where you're not meant to come back. You're not meant to overcome. And the fact that you are able to, work through whatever it is that you're working through, know that you are being acknowledged at this point, and know that there are people that are experiencing the same things as you are, that are fighting with you, because it's a constant battle, and it's happening on the physical level, it's happening on the spiritual level, it's happening on the mental level. And you see this because many of you, every time you go to try to do something having to do with your purpose, you see the obstacles, you see the opposition that often you face trying to accomplish those things, in terms of trying to get to do those things. Yet you persist. In fact, many of you, you persist even harder when you see the obstacles come. Keep working, keep moving forward. Okay? Because your purpose is definitely a threat to whatever plans they have to create disequilibrium to the children of Mother Nature, to the children who honor the natural instead of the artificial. Okay? I don't claim to even, say what this message really is for, because all the messages that are put out there, everyone receives what they are meant to, because it means something differently to each one of the chosen who's listening. So, and it is my task to be diligent and to follow through when Spirit says, give the message, that I do. So that sickness that they wanted you to experience, to where you were so down and you went to a place where you couldn't come back and be your full authentic self, that place of sickness, especially the mental part that they wanted you to be in, you have overcome a great deal, and your spirit guides want you to commend you.